Hey friends, welcome back to Coffee, Crochet, and Conversation. I'm Stephanie, your resident chaos coordinator, part-time cat wrangler, full-time coffee addict. Today, we're going to dive into why saying no isn't rude. It's actually a power move. And of course, I have a little chaos of my own this week, and some newsy bits, and our tarot twist at the end. So grab your favorite cup, your best hook, or maybe just a blanket to hide under, and let's get into this week. Okay, past week recap time. Your girl here had to take an unexpected break again, thanks to my body's favorite game, Control-Alt-Delete, the old hard reset. Apparently, if you try to survive on coffee and sarcasm, your system just kind of nopes out. Pass out, reboot, and then end up needing to take a nap every couple steps. 2 resets in a row, and let me tell you, I was as glitchy as a laggy PC game on dial-up internet. When I finally climbed back on the treadmill, my body was like, "Oh, you dear, sweet, cute honey child, you think we're okay?" And humbled me. I felt like a fish out of water, gasping on the dock. Cut that workout short real quick. It's like every time I forget that I'm no longer 20, my body's like, "Here, let me remind you." And recovery seems to take longer every year. Meanwhile, my other co-producer, Miss Cloud, the short, stubby tuxedo cat, has decided that her new passion project is lap jumping. And the signal that she has decided that the project is starting exactly when my crochet project comes out. So far, she's undefeated. But because we celebrate the small wins around here, I installed a new thermostat all by myself. That's right. Independent warrior woman energy. Here's a little fun fact. Just, the average U.S. household thermostat is set around 70 degrees. So yeah, I am now the mistress of climate control. That deserved a Twinkie. Except I didn't have any, damn it. Oh, and in parenting news, my oldest had his yearly checkup this week. And he is now mad because his little brother has officially passed him up in height. I told him, I said, "Look, kid, I'm 5'4". Your uncle's over 6 foot. Welcome to the family genetics lottery. We all have big little siblings." But on the bright side, I told him he'll always have someone to reach the top shelf. Silver linings, people. Couple of quick shout outs too. Big thanks to our couple new Apple followers this week. You guys are helping me build this cozy, chaotic little community. One listener, one follower at a time. And speaking of community, Spotify was finally showing me some of my analytics. And hello, UK. Apple tells me, it was Apple, not Spotify. Apple tells me 30% of you are actually turning in from across the pond. I'm thrilled you grabbed a cuppa and joined us here. I hope that's right. I've never been. Love to go. But so the references I have are like TV. All right, enough fun. Let's dive into this week's topic. So let's talk about the yes trap. Why do we say yes so much? Honestly, it's usually one of 3 things. Either we're people pleasing, we feel guilty, or we straight up fear letting someone down. We have been taught that saying yes equals being nice, being helpful, being the kind of person everyone loves. But here's the thing. That's a myth. Nice does not equal yes. Sometimes, nice is a hard no. With a smile, maybe a cookie, definitely a cup of coffee. Listen, I'm a repeat offender here. I have overcommitted myself so many times. Kid stuff, house stuff, volunteer stuff, our aging parents stuff, which is the hardest one to say no to the point where my calendar started looking like a crime scene, complete with red string and push pins. And what happens? Chaos. Pure, glitter-covered, color-coordinated chaos. The truth is that every time we say yes to someone else, we're also saying no to ourselves, no to our rest, no to our mental health, no to actually having downtime where you're not speed folding laundry while also crying into your coffee. And research backs this up. Psychologists say chronic people-pleasing often starts in childhood as a way to earn approval. I know it did for me. And if we didn't get the approval, sometimes we work even harder. In adulthood, it's linked to higher stress and exhaustion. Harvard-trained psychologists even warn that people-pleasers are at a significantly higher risk of burnout because we struggle to set boundaries. Here's the punchline, though. It turns out my calendar is not a clown car. Everything does not fit. And trust me, I've tried to jam it all in. The only thing that comes out is burnout. Maybe some glitter, but definitely burnout. And the thing about the glitter bomb is you're the one that's got to clean it up. Okay, it's time for our favorite little corner, Stitch Happens, where life tangles up, we laugh about it, and maybe we find a little life lesson hidden in the yarn ball. So here's the latest yes-no disaster from my house. My husband has apparently decided that we're going to play a new game called Hide and Seek the Socks. If you remember from my older episode, he has his sock mountain next to his chair, and he has decided to move said mountain to a corner in the bathroom, which questionable life choices. His and mine, apparently. But okay. I see it. I let it sit there for an entire week, just to see how long this game was going to last. Finally, I caved and picked him up. Hubby 1, me 0. He comes home from work, and boom. Go to the bathroom after a shower, and there is another pair of socks. Like clockwork. Or maybe a dare. I don't know. When I asked him about it, he casually asked me if I meant the pile of socks next to his chair. Clean socks, by the way, that he didn't even bother to put on. So now it seems we are officially a Sock Mountain Majesty household. Sock Mountain Majesty, coming soon to a theme park near you. And yes, we both laughed about it. Mostly because if I didn't laugh, I was going to pretend that the socks were snowballs and pelt him with it. I'm half tempted to take the next batch, the next round, and hide them on his pillow. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? So how's that tie into our boundary piece? The no I said was to myself. No to blowing up about it. No to making it a big thing. Because at the end of the day, it was not worth a fight or causing an issue in our marriage. It's socks. Just socks. Relationships experts say healthy boundaries aren't just about saying no to big things. They're also about choosing which small annoyances just don't deserve your energy. So yeah, sometimes the ultimate power move is letting socks be socks. Or joining the game. All right, let's talk about the art of no. First thing, no is not a one-size-fits-all. Because if you've ever been big, you know that one-size-fits-all don't fit. There are different flavors of no. You got the polite no, soft pass with a smile. Then there's the firm no. The one with a period at the end, no explanation required. And my personal favorite, the strategic no. No. Where you know saying yes would boomerang back and smack you in the face. So you cut that shit off before it starts. Side note, Sky's been rambunctious lately. She's already climbed on my desk and you can now hear her playing with the cats. So we're just going to keep going. Of course, there's my favorites. Hell no. And her sister, fuck no. They're for extreme situations. They don't come out often. But when they do, it's usually about yarn, mugs, or coffee. You know, the Holy Trinity. Here's the trap, though. We have to feel like we have to over-explain. I had an extra half in there. Just ignore it. Life, like if I say no, I have to attach a PowerPoint presentation that has facts and statistics, along with a doctor's note and a sworn affidavit from my therapist on why I can't do it. But the truth is, I don't want to is a valid reason. It's enough. Therapists even emphasize that I don't want to is a complete sentence. Boundaries don't require a PowerPoint. They require practice. And when is no the hardest? Well, that's easy. Social obligations, work manipulations. The one that was extremely hard for me, and I had to work really hard in therapy, family guilt. You know, those ones, but it'll only take a minute requests. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. That's why they want you to do it. Or the classic, it's just a small thing. Except small is relative. Your small thing could be my existential life crisis. Psychologists note, guilt around saying no is often hardwired early, especially in families where love or approval felt conditional. When I started therapy, that was the hardest thing for me, was the instant guilt I felt if I said no. And my husband used to get so angry. Oh, angry is not a bad word. He would like try to be that voice of reason. They're asking too much. They're wanting too much. But because of my childhood, I felt like I had to say no. That was the only way I could get approval, or I deserved love. If I didn't say yes to everything that they required, that I didn't deserve to be loved. And that's why even a simple no can sometimes feel like a betrayal, even when that no's healthy. Sometimes, though, the no we really need isn't for other people. It's for ourselves. No to our bad habits. No to our intrusive thoughts. And definitely no to that fucker Earl. My self-doubt voice. If you ever caught the earlier episode, Self-Doubt Spiral, we named our self-doubt voice. And then the following episode, I listened to Dixie Chicks and realized I like Earl better because Earl had to die. But Earl's always in the background, whispering, I'm not good enough. But honestly, Earl can choke on a hook. Psychologists call that voice the inner critic, and research shows that challenging it directly can reduce your stress and build resistance. And here's the empowering reframe. Every time that you say no to something that drains you, you're saying yes to yourself. And you are the person who deserves your energy the most. All right, let's get into our weekly Brews News. CDC hearing, saying no to pressure. On September 17th, the Senate Help Committee held a hearing called Restoring Trust Through Radical Transparency. Former CDC Director Susan Morenez and former Chief Medical Officer Dr. Deborah Oury testified about political interference inside the agency. Both said they faced direct pressure from Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to alter the childhood vaccine schedule, with threats of firing if they refused. They described policies being announced on social media before expert review, calling the process unethical and not scientifically supported. Because nothing says scientific rigor like a tweet storm. Hourly resigned in August, publicly urging Kennedy to step down. Morenez was ousted later that month after clashing with him. That's the professional version of I'm taking my coffee and going home. The stakes are high. The CDC's advisory committee met to vote on vaccine recommendations for Hep B, MMR, COVID, and varicella. What people don't understand is when they change things like that, those decisions ripple into insurance coverage, school requirements, even provider liability. The senators split sharply. Bill Cassidy defended the hepatitis B birth dose, warning of coverage losses, while some Republicans defended Kennedy, and other Republicans joined Democrats in criticism. So let's talk about the Colbert-Kimmel pattern and when saying no is costly. So entertainment, we had two late night hosts become flashpoints in a debate over media independence and the First Amendment. Back in July, CBS announced that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert would end in May 2026, despite the fact that Colbert had leading late night ratings. I do believe he recently even won some awards. The decision came just days after Colbert mocked Paramount's $16 million settlement with Donald Trump. Trump, in turn, celebrated the cancellation and hinted that Jimmy Kimmel might be next. Apparently, late night comedy is now a competitive sport, and the refs are in Washington. So fast forward to now. After Jimmy Kimmel delivered a monologue about the Charlie Kirk shooting, you can find that monologue online. I have my opinion. You can form your own about what he said. FCC Chair Brendan Carr threatened ABC's broadcast license. Within hours, ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely. Trump praised the move, calling Kimmel ratings challenged. Nexstar and Sinclair dropped the show even before ABC's suspension. But after 6 days of backlash, Disney reversed course. Jimmy Kimmel Live returned last night after what the company called thoughtful conversations. And still, not all viewers saw it. Some Sinclair and Nexstar affiliates continued to preempt the show. There were protests outside Disney and ABC studios, an open letter signed by more than 400 celebrities, and even a shooting at ABC's Sacramento affiliate underscored how volatile the moment had become. Disney reinstatement may have cooled tensions, but the chill on late night is already here. So here's the distinction. People think that freedom of speech and freedom of consequences are the same thing, and they're not. You know, you can go out and say the most hateful things you want to say. You're not going to get arrested. I mean, they use the example of yelling fire in a crowded theater. You can't incite panic, but you can say what you want. Your friends can also cut ties with you. Your boss can fire you. Those are consequences. There is no freedom of consequences. Freedom of speech is the government will not punish you for what you say. Again, outside of the inciting a riot. So if you're sitting on the corner and you're shooting out hateful speech, the cops aren't going to arrest you. You're not going to get a ticket. You're not going to get a fine. That's freedom of speech. So this is why Kimmel's case was different. The consequences were not organic. Now, Roseanne was organic. She said something. The fans didn't like it. The studio fired her because it affects her ratings. Budweiser had that Super Bowl commercial. I didn't watch it, but there was some backlash on that, and their sales dropped. Those are organic consequences. Kimmel's were signaled by government officials that tied to corporate deals that depend on government approval. That's the distinction. The government threatened license. And his return does not erase that precedent. It can show how speech can be sidelined, not by ratings, not by advertisers, but political signals tied to regulatory power. So those are our big chunks. Let's do a couple quick pours before we move on. The Tyler Robinson case. The man who, right now, allegedly killed Charlie Kirk. There's been a swirl of claims about alleged text messages, in charging documents, everything from politics to internet subcultures. This authenticity of the text messages is still being debated. So for now, we're just going to let that one simmer, because I like to keep things factual. So until the facts are clear, we're just going to let that sit until the facts come out. And let's go on to the Epstein files, because you guys know I have said I will not let this die. Kash Patel had a hearing with the Senate, and the hearings dropped massive updates, from billion-dollar bank transcripts to a fight over whether more names should be released. Democrats pushed to subpoena bank CEOs over about $1.5 billion in Epstein-linked transactions. Republicans blocked it by a single vote, 20-19. The FBI says they shared everything they legally can. Critics say otherwise. At this point, the only thing moving faster than the subpoenas are the conspiracy podcasts. That also leads us to Acosta's testimony. Alex Acosta, the prosecutor behind Epstein's 2008 plea deal, faced 6 hours of questioning, in which he admitted he never met with the victims. He defended the deal as necessary and showed very little remorse. The survivors say his answers prove how power-shielded Epstein was then, and why accountability questions still linger now. 6 hours of testimony, and the only thing more evasive than his answers was my cat when it's time to change her flea collar. Another quick sip. National news. This one touches me personally. Trump says Tylenol causes autism. Here's the thing. Autism was first diagnosed in 1943. Tylenol wasn't marketed until 1955. Autism was diagnosed a decade before Tylenol existed. There's no proven link, and doctors still call it one of the safest pain relievers in pregnancy. I have done, because my son is autistic, a lot of research. I've read articles, I've read studies. The driving causation of autism has always been genetics. Yes, there can be some outside influences, but a vast majority are genetics, not Tylenol. So that's your wrap on this week's Quick Pour. What really matters with all of this is that we keep talking about them. We keep them moving. Because legacy media is about quick headlines and the next big, things that gets them ratings. But to me, these stories are what's important. So let's talk about the ripple effect. What happens when you actually start flexing those no muscles? Well, people start to respect you more. Your relationships shift into healthier dynamics. And, wild concept, I know, you get to keep a little bit of your sanity intact. Now, full honesty, saying no to other people and saying no to those ugly little thoughts in your head, that switch don't flip overnight. It's not a switch. It's more like a blanket project. And if you've ever crocheted a blanket or made anything, it's not fast, but it's worth it. Earl, that self-doubt jackass, does not just pack up and leave after the first eviction notice. You got to do like the chick said, and do it one poison black-eyed pea at a time. But over time, the no's create space, and the space lets in breaths of fresh air. And suddenly, there's room for the good stuff. Confidence, peace, maybe even a nap. And if you can, go ahead, you're lucky. I cannot nap. It's also freeing once you get past the guilt. First, you're like, oh no, I disappointed the world. Everyone hates me. But then the fog clears and you realize, wait a second, I feel lighter. And if the person you said no to hates you because you said no, then maybe they weren't there for you, but what you could do for them. And here's the kicker. Every time you set a boundary, you are modeling strength. As a parent, your kids see it. As a friend, your friends see it. Your coworkers see it. They learn from you that it's okay to hold your ground without being a villain. Child development experts note that kids don't just learn boundaries from lectures. They learn by watching us. We model them. When they see you calmly saying no, they internalize that it's safe to do the same. A lot of us were raised on this idea that saying no was basically a punishable offense. Kids who said no were stubborn, defiant, difficult. And it can be that, but there's a huge difference between being stubborn and building healthy boundaries. And honestly, teaching kids how to do what the difference is and how to implement it might be one of the best gifts we can hand down. So let's end this with a quick little no toolkit. 3 go-to phrases that you can steal today. 1, that doesn't work for me, but thanks for thinking of me. 2, I don't have the capacity for that right now. And 3, the classic, no thank you. It's short, sweet, and almost impossible to argue with. And bonus round, in extreme situations, do not forget the sisters. Hell no and fuck no are always there. But that toolkit, that's your ripple effect starter pack. All right, it's time for our Shuffle Happens, our tarot corner of the podcast, where the cards show up and drop wisdom in ways we didn't even know we needed. Remember, we're working our way through the Sacred Kingdom deck. And today's card, the Emperor. So, close your eyes if you can. No car accidents or tangled projects, please. And picture it. A warrior barbarian in armor, seated on a throne. His gaze is steady, focused. He's looking off to the side as if he already sees the path ahead. In one hand, a dagger with a blade of fire. Beside him, 2 urns blaze towards the sky. And behind him is a doorway that glows with the morning light, shadows stretching across the stone. He is strong. He is focused. And he suffers no fools. But he is not here to intimidate. He is here to remind you of your own authority. Upright, the Emperor represents structure, stability, discipline, and leadership. Reversed, that's when the control tips into rigidity, stubbornness, or power struggles. The too tight, too heavy, too much version. Reversed, he's basically the control freak anxiety spiral edition. Now, reflecting on today's themes, boundaries and saying no, the Emperor shows us cat clash. The Emperor shows us as a symbolic reminder that healthy authority starts with yourself. Saying no doesn't make you mean or rigid. It makes you the ruler of your own life. It makes you capable of protecting your energy and your time. It just means that you've upgraded from doormat to door with a keypad. And only the people you trust get the code. When we let the reverse energy creep in, it's like letting the guilt, the obligations that we don't owe anyone, or that fucker self-doubt Earl run the show. That's when the calendar clown car comes back and suddenly you're speed folding laundry while crying into your coffee again. So, your challenge for this week, notice where your personal Emperor energy is showing up. Check your Emperor setting. Blocked down like my emergency Twinkie stash? Scattered like catnip after Sky's midnight zoomies? Or balanced like a throne and a crown that actually fit? Take a hold of your dagger and seize command. Pick just one small moment to practice a no. Maybe to someone else. If not, there's always Earl, because he always deserves a no. Let the Emperor remind you that claiming your authority is not selfish. It's essential. And it suffers no fools. All right, friends, hookers, and coffee addicts alike. That's it for today's episode. And of course, now that I'm finishing up recording, the cats have calmed down. But before we go, let's do a quick callback. Remember, sometimes saying no isn't dramatic. It's just refusing to let a sock pile ruin your week. Small wins, big energy. Because honestly, Mount Sockmore is not the hill to die on. And I'd love to hear from you. Share your own power move no. When did you say no and feel like a superhero? Or send me your own Stitch Happen story. Messier, the funnier, the better. And I'll swap you in on the next episode. The email is coffeecrochetpodcast@gmail.com. Bonus points if it involves pets, glitter bombs, or maybe both. And yes, all that like, share, review nonsense, it actually matters. It helps us find more folks to join our cozy, chaotic little community here. So if you enjoyed today's episode, hit those buttons, tell a friend, or just nod solemnly at your coffee cup. Until next week, keep your hooks warm, your coffee filled, and your boundaries firm. And as always, may your stitches be sassy and your coffee strong.